right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel. So, Tony Ferguson is doing Ultimate Fighter with Conor McGregor. I do believe it now. Now that, I did a video saying, like, I don't think Conor McGregor is really going to do Ultimate Fighter. I did, like, a whole live stream about it yesterday. He's not going to do Ultimate Fighter. He's not going to do it. And then they were like, no, Tony Ferguson's doing it with him. I was like, never mind. I retract what I said. You just had to throw something out that made sense, dude. They throw something out that makes sense. Now, I don't know if Conor is actually going to sign on to do it, but at least now I know what the UFC's thinking, dude. You always got to know, like, you got to look at the world through the eyes of the UFC. And I'm going to tell you the real reason why they are trying to do this, because there are a lot of moving parts. It's going to be, as soon as I lay it all out, you're going to be like, oh, this was all common sense. And be like, yeah, common sense after I said it, right? Common sense after I said it. That's how that works. The most incredible epiphanies are common sense after you hear them, You're like, oh, duh. This is definitely one of those. And it goes a little deeper than you think. So we're going to do that. Now, before I start, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Jar at the front. We've had this conversation a million times. The videos are the candy. It's like, if you're going to take the candy, please leave a quarter. The quarter is just clicking the subscribe. Don't be the guy that steals the muscular dystrophy candy and doesn't, leave the quarter. Anyway, so, all right. So where do we start here? So, like I said yesterday, sometimes I feel like I have to reiterate, because I'm like, why am I assuming anyone who's watching this video watched my live stream yesterday? Because you probably didn't. So let's just recap that really quick. So what I said yesterday in my live stream was that I don't believe that Conor is going to do the Ultimate Fighter because of the time commitment that Ultimate Fighter requires and how much money you would have to pay Conor to commit to something like that, right? If it's like, I don't know what it is, like 6 weeks or something like that. They're like all immersive film. And this is coming from a person who, if you are not clear, has been on reality television multiple times. Gabrielle and I, who I've been married to for in December was our 14th anniversary. We have 3 kids together, but we got married on a reality show, yo. We had been together for 2 years first. Like, people always think when I say that means we met on the reality show. Nah, we already lived together before we did it. But we got married on a reality show that was produced by The Bachelor people. Like, the same people that produced The Bachelor, Undercover Boss, they produced the show, and we got married on it, okay? It was a big show. Then I had a show about my company that I was building. It was called Startup. If you Google or if you YouTube search Jesse on Fire Startup, you can watch it. It's an incredible show. It will change your opinion of me completely. You'll be like, this loudmouth idiot. What does he think he's taught? Why is he pretending like he knows what he's talking about? You'll watch that. You're like, oh, never mind. Okay. So he does know what he's talking about. He has done these things, because I just watched a documentary about it. Anyway, but so when I talk about reality TV, it's a movie I've seen on the other side, right? I've been on the other side of the camera being the main talent twice, okay? And so here's the deal. The coaches are basically the main talent. I mean, maybe not main talent. I don't know how you categorize that. But if you're the coaches, you're in most scenes that are not at the house. That is an incredible time commitment, dude. An incredible time commitment, okay? And so for Conor to do anything that's going to take the amount of time that the Ultimate Fighter would, he's going to have to get paid, son. He's going to have to get paid, But that said, it is possible that there are things that are more important to Conor than money at this point, and his freedom, one of which might be winning the 170-pound welterweight championship and becoming the first 3-belt title holder, at least in the modern age. And, I think that this is a clear pathway to that. So anytime, this is just a baseline rule for anyone who's like kind of trying to figure out what UFC is doing. Baseline rule. If Conor is involved, okay? If Conor is involved, you think to yourself, how does this get Conor closer to a title shot? Okay? That's how you start. That's your baseline question that you ask. How does this get Conor closer to a title shot? If the answer is it doesn't, then that means he's fighting Nate Diaz. And even if he's fighting Nate Diaz, it actually does get him closer to a title shot, because it's a victory if he wins, right? But Conor wants to fight for the welterweight championship. Here's where we're going to lay out all the chess pieces, okay? So, who is the current welterweight champion? Correct, Leon Edwards. Who represents Leon Edwards in terms of management? Paradigm. Who owns Paradigm? Conor. Okay, so I'd say that Conor has some pretty significant control over the decisions that Leon Edwards makes, right? And especially given the fact that fighting Conor McGregor while getting back end on the pay-per-view would be the biggest payday of Leon Edwards' life. So of course he wants to fight Conor, right? Of course. So how do you get Conor in line for a welterweight title shot? Excellent question, Jesse on Fire. Well, he needs a win, right? He doesn't need a significant, he just needs a win at welterweight. All right? So who do you give him? It's like, who's like, because you don't want to risk it. Like, you want a surefire win for Conor. Who's it going to be? It's like, well, I don't really like anybody in the top 5. Not for a surefire win, you know? So what's another way that we could do this, whereby if he wins, he gets a title shot, but we also don't have to risk it against like Colby or like certainly not Hamzat and definitely not Kamaru, any of those guys, right? And Kamaru and Leon are going to fight before this anyway, right? So the way that you can circumvent the ranking system is you get Conor on Ultimate Fighter, and then you give him someone with a big name that he's almost certain to beat, which would be Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson has not won a fight in his last 5 fights. And, why? I mean, ask yourself this. Why else? Why on earth would they have Conor versus Tony in the Ultimate Fighter? Ask yourself that. Why? Like, thinking through likely outcomes, UFC's design. Why on earth would they do Conor versus Tony Ferguson? Okay. Big name, basically 95% certain victory in their mind. If Conor comes back in shape and the Tony Ferguson that fought Nate Diaz comes out there, Conor's going to win. You know, no disrespect to Tony. It's just, it is what it is. Right. So right? That's what this is all about. This is about a title shot for Conor, a very, very favorable matchup for him, somehow figuring out a way to give a guy who's 0-5 in his last 5 fights the ability to catapult Conor into a title shot if he wins. You can't just have, I mean, you could do it, I guess, is just have Conor come back and fight Tony, but you have to have a reason why Conor's fighting Tony. That's the whole point, okay? I don't think I did a very good job explaining that earlier. You have to have a reason why Conor is fighting Tony. Because it's like, wait, he's coming back, he's fighting an 0-5 in his last 5 fighters? Like, why is he fighting someone who hasn't won a fight in his last 5 fights? It's like, it's not because we want him to win so bad. It's like, well, because they did Ultimate Fighter together. It's like, look at this. Don't look at this hand. Look at this hand. It's because they did Ultimate Fighter together, you guys. Look at this hand. Don't look at that hand. Look at this hand. It's because they did Ultimate Fighter together. That's why. Okay? That's why. And so, that's why. Okay? That's why. That is why. So, I don't really have anything to add to that other than, you should probably watch the other video that I did about Conor McGregor today because it's off the hook. Talking about that car accident. Super serious. Anyway. Lots of conspiracy theories. If you're still watching on Jesse on Everything. You know what else I'm going to do today on this channel is I'm going to do a reaction video to MMA Guru's reaction video to Ariel and Jamal Hill's interview because, I just am. I'm going to do that. And then I'm also going to do a reaction video on Jesse on Everything to the Paul Pelosi footage that came out because fishy footage to me for 2 reasons. 2 main reasons. I looked at that footage and I was like, I'll tell you right now. I'm going to do the whole video, but I'll just tell you this. My first instinct when I watched it was, oh my God, everybody owes Paul Pelosi an enormous apology. That's honestly, like I watched that and I was like, wow, dude, every person that had a question about this needs to apologize publicly. The same way that I expect people who said this and that about the jab should apologize now, whatever, like I'm just big on accountability. I personally was like, I don't really remember what I said about this, but if I said anything, I apologize. Then I watched it again and I was like, wait a minute. Then I watched it again and I was like, wait a minute. And so I'm going to tell you what I saw on Jesse on Everything. So give that a look. Love you guys. Peace.